Hey Samyak, great to have you over, right? From being a winner at ETHIndia, the first edition of ETHIndia, to having you over as a speaker to inspire the next generation for the ETHIndia Online Hackathon. Uh, it's been quite a journey, right? So I'd like to hear your thoughts on like how you got started with InstaDApp.
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just started, like we just got started. We
Okay.
came for the ETHIndia Hackathon, and it was our team name. InstaDApp was our team name.
Right.
So you can just see like the name and product doesn't really match much. So we just followed that name for our company and grown it. So yeah, so how it started is uh, before ETHIndia, I haven't been to any of the hackathons. So ETHIndia was my first hackathon.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and I only have had two hackathons in my life. It's ETHIndia and ETHSF. So
Okay.
it was like I was more excited for the hackathon, not expecting for the win because I've never been in the hackathon environment. So we just came for fun, I guess I would say. My brother called me, and I said, yeah, let's go. So without any hope for winning, and we were also new in the Ethereum ecosystem, so we just went and we explored the protocols there itself. There were like in sponsors at that time. It was Dharma, MakerDAO, and few other protocols. So yeah, we just we knew a bit about MakerDAO, so we thought like let's start building on it. So we just solved the complexity on MakerDAO, and since then I think our main focus is solve the complexity in the DeFi.
Right. So, how much experience before coming into the hackathon? How much did you know about Ethereum, about the DeFi space, uh, and yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, this question will also be very helpful for other hackers, I guess. So when I came to the hackathon, I had zero knowledge of the Solidity,
Oh,
and my
okay.
brother had good enough knowledge of the Solidity. He's been coding for some times, and what I was doing was I was usually working on the front end side, integrating the Solidity code that my brother wrote. So on the hackathon, my work was to like whatever Solidity smart contract Soumya made, made the UI, UX, and integrated the whole smart contract on the front end. So it's just the Web3 library or JavaScript. So at that time, I knew about the Solidity, but I haven't really coded on it, like deployed anything on blockchain and stuff. So yeah, it was like even if anyone doesn't know much Solidity, you can still do a lot of things with just Web3, I guess.
So, take us through what you actually built at ETHIndia.
Yeah, so at that time, DeFi wasn't really probably a word. So at that time, it was just MakerDAO,
Right.
and the whole DeFi was just MakerDAO. And uh, it was actually the most famous app. I think it still is. So it was the most famous app on the Ethereum blockchain. But the problem was right now, what we can do in one step at that time we need to do it. It was so complex that you have to do the same process of one step into 12 steps. So there was a lot of complexities in the protocol that if I go into a technical level, so converting ETH into wrap ETH, then wrap ETH into P ETH, and allowances and many other kind of things, which is senseless for a normal user to do. They just need to deposit Ethereum and borrow DAI as a collateral. So it can all be done in a one single step. So we build a middle layer smart contract, which we just sent one transaction to that smart contract, and that smart contract did all the 12 transaction with the maker contract. So it's like from the user, and they just have to do one single transaction, and all of the other transactions are handled on the blockchain itself. So it's like just a 12 transaction into one. And since then I think like we've been solving those kind of complexities, but in a very big way. Yeah.
Okay. So, Was this the first idea that came to you at the hackathon, or?
So it was like it wasn't like yeah, it kind of we kind of got this idea on the hackathon, but we knew about the MakerDAO and we were like playing around it with it before. So we just knew about and I've also played around with the Kyber and stuff. So I just knew about that. We also talked to the Dharma guys at that hackathon, and we were also thinking of like making something on Dharma and stuff. But yeah, then we ended up on MakerDAO, and we actually to all the hackers, just whenever you have any doubt, just go to the sponsor or developer team and ask as much questions as you want to, because that's what we did. We were going to the developer, the core developer, the MakerDAO team, and we've been asking like a question in every hour or every 1 hour, 2 hour. So just they the sponsors themselves want you to build on their protocol, so don't be hesitate like I'm going again and again. So yeah, that's what, like, we didn't know technical complexities on the MakerDAO protocol, but we asked a lot of questions to the developer, and then we got a better understanding of the whole protocol.
Right. So I can see we have some questions already. I think we can take them in the end, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hello.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can, yeah. So like we were saying, mentorship is key to success of, was a key to your success, right? And like, how did you think that coming into the hackathon that we were underprepared at any point? Did you think that, okay, we don't know enough, or what was your thought process in that sense?
So I won't say like we were underprepared or anything. Maybe yeah, we might be, but we just came for the fun.
Yeah.
So we haven't really thought that we. It's my first hackathon, so I was more excited about that. So yeah, we just came for the fun. So I wasn't like in any hesitation or anything like if either we win or not or anything else. So it was just like kind of a surprise for us.
Right. So a lot of times we also tell our hackers, right, to attend when you attend a hackathon, the goal is not to win, or there is no winning per se. The prizes and bounties are just a motivation, but if you learn something new, if you push beyond your limits, then it's worthwhile. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I think so. Like uh it's to whatever hackathon you are going, you'll end up end up with something new. So it's always good like to go on a hackathons and like hack. So it's like it's a constant 48 hours of code or 36 hours of code, and the productivity level at that time is probably the what happens is it's kind of funny is developers build a whole application in 36 hours in a hackathon, and to add one more feature to the product, they take like a month. So it's like
Yeah, true.
it's like in a hackathon the productivity level is so much, and they just do kind of a build a whole application in just that 36 hours. So it also boosts their skills a lot, I would say.
Right. Fair enough. So you mentioned that your brother and you have been coding for a while. Like, could you take us through your background, how the lead up to ETHIndia, uh, where were you based
Yeah,
before
so
that? Everything.
before that, my brother was involved in the stock market field.
Okay.
So he had made few applications on Indian stock market, and he was earning like a small amount of money.
Okay.
He already started like 2 3 things, and which are like not too big, but yeah, it's like out of just out of learning something new, he just started to do things. And before ETHIndia, I made an application eSwap, which was just the UI Web3 function on top of Kyber network, and it actually made me interested in on the Ethereum blockchain, because when it was like the first swapping platform built on top of Kyber network.
Right.
So it's like it gave me good boost from the Kyber community too, and I was motivated because of that. So just after building eSwap, after a month, there was the hackathon ETHIndia, and I was in the college, and my brother called me. He said like, just he was just asking me, and I said okay, yeah, we'll go. And we applied and just got selected, and we went. So yeah, it was like it just
Right.
happened.
Great, great. So both you and your brother were already in college at that point of time.
No, so my brother wasn't really in a college, so he is dropped. He was from the commerce background. He learned
Okay.
coding all by himself, and I learned coding probably most of it from him.
Okay.
So yeah, so he was from a commerce background. He learned all the coding online, and so he was doing CA and CF and other kind of stuff. So he dropped out of all of those things. So he wasn't in the college at that time, but he was like doing something of his own. Now yeah, I was in the college.
Okay. And what were your ages around this time? Like
18 and 20. Yeah.
18 and 20. That's
Yeah.
quite different from most 18 and 20-year-olds want to do, right? Especially,
It's just like we were following the things that we enjoy doing, so it just happened. Like we weren't really thinking of it that it could turn out into something big, but we were just it just happened. And we yeah, it was like the whole journey was fun. Sometimes it's a bit stressful, but yeah, it's still fun.
great, great. So do you have any advice for people who are in a similar situation in India? Like, what do you see, like Indian college students, uh, your thoughts,
Yeah,
what they can do better?
yeah, I would first of all, yeah, I would say just don't at all rely on university's education. It's kind of senseless, I would say. Like the coding and everything they teach you it's like 5 years, 10 years old. They will never teach you, let's say, JavaScript. And right now, probably 99% of the websites are built on top of JavaScript in any form. Like it's React, jQuery, or anything. So, but colleges never teaches JavaScript. I think like that should be the basic. They start with Java, C, and many other languages, which and there are many like our whole server right now is on top of Node.js, which we learned all from the internet. And JavaScript has good study material and stuff on the internet. So I would say like also of Solidity. There are so many good courses of Solidity on Ethereum and stuff. And college studies are not that good. Like I for to my knowledge, I have never found a better course than Crypto Zombie in any kind of language. Either
Okay,
it's Java,
okay,
C, or Solidity. So I think like these kind of courses teaches you much. Like in just a single week, I learned the basics of the Solidity with the Crypto Zombie, which universities
okay,
takes one whole semester. And on the complex things, I still think like most of you in college at the exam time, you probably study from the YouTube. So it's like don't yeah, you can learn a lot of things without it. And I would say if you are relying on college, then you just you're probably targeting for a job. If you want to like start something of your own, I would say to explore new things on the it's internet. Like it's not 10 years ago colleges were good, but now you can find everything on internet with as cheap as, like, I can say, for free, I would say.
right. Uh, so one thing now we want to delve into is, can you tell a bit about what InstaDApp is now, and how your journey has been since the hackathon, right?
Yeah, so InstaDApp right now is we are mm, we are currently focused on making DeFi as simple as possible, and let uh, more focus on interoperability between DeFi. So
Right.
it's like all the protocols can get connected together, and the more easy the connections between the protocols, the DeFi will be more huge, because like there's MakerDAO, Compound, and it's like DYDX and DEXs and many other kind of financial protocols. If we try to merge them all, it will make a different kind of product, which has a proper use case in the whole ecosystem, or which might make the users the life easy of users. And so the things that we made, protocol bridge, which like uh, we just made your DApp position portable of MakerDAO and Compound, so users can just shift. It's like shifting between two banks, which is too hard right now. Like if you want to shift your loan from HDFC to ICICI, I think like it's a lot of process. But with Protocol Bridge, shifting between MakerDAO and Compound is just one transaction, and no one can stop you in that. So yeah, I think like our main focus right now is to solve the complex things on DeFi, make DeFi easier for everyone. So yeah.
Right. So how soon after ETHIndia did you launch your first fully fledged product? Like you mentioned, right, that making a hackathon project, we developers build hackathon projects in 48 hours, and then it takes a month to just push a feature, right?
Yeah.
So how soon did you launch it?
So yeah, yeah. I guess
How's been?
yeah, ETHIndia Hackathon was in August, I guess.
Yeah, August
So
2018.
after that we launched InstaDApp in November something, but it with only the Kyber integration, and the main launch of InstaDApp happened in December, with the integration of the MakerDAO,
Right.
and then we launched the updated version of the protocol, I would say platform, on April 2019. So right now the contract that we are using is of April 2019.
Right. How soon did you see the initial traction, and like what was the feeling that that gave you?
So initially, for the very first product that we released, uh, it wasn't really solving any complexity, but we had our own smart contract, but it was mainly with a better UI and UX than MakerDAO, and that gave us good traction because user now have a good user experience to use the same thing. Then the next version that we launched in April had a different kind of smart contract structure, which enable us to build uh, complex things on blockchain. So yeah, like initial that we launched it was just a raw thing, which just gave us initial traction because of the UI and UX mainly.
And your initial traction itself was pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, so at that time, we were the first one who built on top of MakerDAO.
Right.
So it's like we got good traction because of this, because at that time there was only Maker portal. Right now there are a lot of other ways you can use the same Maker portal, but at that time it was only MakerDAO, and we just launched, which has the and our UI was probably the best in all of the other dApps, I guess, at that time.
Right.
So it gave us good traction. Yeah.
Right. So I remember at some point, like there was tweet about there was a good amount of uh, like a small but a significant percentage of ETH locked, right, uh, in MakerDAO,
Yeah.
right, and there were already stories about how it's like affecting like and changing the lives of users. So could you touch upon that, like how any metrics you have, and any stories around that?
how how InstaDApp can change the life of user, or how DeFi. What are you? What was the?
So there were initially there were stories about how people were taking loans on InstaDApp, right?
MakerDAO.
Or yeah,
Okay, InstaDApp.
yeah. And
Okay.
through that, how, because it was so easy, they were actually using it in their real life.
Yeah. So right now, I would say is like there is no proper real life use case that DeFi is solving, because it itself has a lot of complexity for normal users to use.
Right.
But mainly the users who are using DeFi right now is probably to get more exposure from their Ethereum. People who don't want to sell their Ethereum but they want to use it, so they are borrowing the DAI. And like it's more like core communities using the DeFi protocols,
Right.
which is good at this point of time. And right now, I guess 3% or 3.5% of the total Ethereum supply is logged in the DeFi. So and more than 90% of the Ethereum are in centralized exchange. So to make it simpler for normal users to use, I think we still have. I think like 2020 would be uh, a lot of focus on that, like for every project, to
Okay.
like shift their Ethereum from custodial to non-custodial platforms.
What changes do you see happening that will accelerate this process?
InstaDApp.
Right. Right.
Okay, yeah, so I think like there are like I think everyone is now working on more complex wallets, more like making it so. The main problem that users face is, first of all, it's totally new for them, who are coming from traditional finance, and uh, they use normally email ID and password and stuff. But right now they have to deal with private key and public key and stuff. So I think like they won't shift, because you will say it's more secure, because they are trusting centralized, like centralized users are trusting centralized banks and everyone for a long time, and they have a good trust in them. So if DeFi will solve a proper problem in their life, which centralized system can't, that will be the main reason for them to shift. I don't think like if we just say that this is way more secure and your assets are very much secure will make them shift. So right now, the core, as I said, like the core people uses the DeFi, and they are very focused on decentralization. It should be non-custodial and stuff, but I think for a normal user it doesn't really matter.
Right. True. And okay, on a personal note, how has your your life and your team grown after the funding and everything? How has that changed things?
So after funding, I would say like my life probably changed like totally. Like the my life didn't change too much, but my thinking totally changed, because like now uh, it's like now we feel like we are secured, at least for some years. So we don't have to worry about the money. So before that we have to like if I am going to take a dropout, then there should be a good income source and stuff.
Right.
But once we raise the funds, it like all of the other things other than core product, like we all of the other problems are gone. Like we don't have to worry about them, because once you feel secured, you are more open to try new things. So till now, if like till now, whatever we launched, we got good exposure. But to try a totally new things, which will need a lot of resources, we might have to think, because it was like before a fundraise, we can't use like we weren't even earning any money from it. We were just building, and so it was like we don't have any resource, we don't have any resource to hire anyone, we don't have any resource to spend. So it was we were kind of uh, just focused on building. But after funding, now we can think like how we can just experiment on other things.
Right. Great. So I think that's quite a lot of gyan for our hackers, right? To muse over while they are building their hacks, right? So we have some time now to take up some questions. So I think I'll just read out the questions that people are putting up, right? So Kumar Gaurav asks you that if is your smart contract upgradable? Have you created any proxy contract for your project?
So all of the users' wallets are proxy contracts. So like the contracts are stable, but if you know a detailed understanding of Solidity, it has a function called delegate call, which allows that wallet to interact with any protocols. Like it's kind of customizable, so users can interact with many other protocols, but they have a constant wallet. So kind of upgradable, you can say. Like smart contract can't change, but we can plug in more smart contract for interaction with different protocols. So if we want to, let's say, integrate dydx tomorrow, so we can just make a new proxy contract which will allow proxy logic, which will allow the user smart wallet to interact with dydx.
Okay. So as a follow-up, could you please explain what is a delegate call and its vulnerabilities?
So I won't say there's any extreme vulnerability, because like every project uses it, even if it's MakerDAO smart contracts. So MakerDAO also has some contracts which makes it simplify for users to interact with their protocols, which uses delegate call. Compound Internet Protocol uses delegate call. I think probably DYDX also uses. I'm not sure, but yeah. So it's like it's probably the core part of every protocol, and it depends on the vulnerabilities. Like uh, I would say this. It depends on the user. If user tries to interact with the smart contract and he's using a different proxy logic, so then it will have problems. So kind of it doesn't have any vulnerability. If user is not doing any transaction on that proxy logic, even if you deploy a new proxy logic and user is not interacting or using that proxy logic, then you can't touch user's wallet. So it's 100% non-custodial. So no vulnerabilities, I would say.
Okay. So Manav is asking, besides learning from documentation about languages and participating in hackathons, what's the way to get exposure to the community and how could I improve my skills further?
Okay. Besides, can you repeat it?
Yeah, besides learning from documentation about languages and participating in hackathons, are there any other ways in which you can get exposure to the community?
Yeah. So I would say just get active on Twitter. Uh, Also, if you can get active on Reddit, but Twitter is the best source. Just follow the people you think are good in the ecosystem. So once you'll get started, so in for few months you'll have problem with the proper feed on your Twitter, but once you followed the right people, you'll get all kind of knowledge that's happening around Ethereum ecosystem, which will give you connections, which will give you better understanding of the ecosystem, or even if you're developing something, so the more knowledge you'll have, the better you can develop.
Right. Rohit asks, does custodial mean centralized? Sorry.
Custodial means that they have access to the user's assets. So yeah, it means centralized. So non-custodial means like as we say ourselves as a non-custodial platform, that means we don't have any power over users assets. We can't touch users assets, so they are using our smart contract that we build, but we don't have any power to touch their assets at all. That is what the main use of blockchain is, I guess.
Right. So, any
So,
other questions? Okay.
so yeah, He's okay. So yeah, so someone asked me privately, is there any job opening available at InstaDApp as a smart contract developer or auditor? Uh, I would say like the job openings are always available, and you can like contact me. You can just share. So what are primary, like I don't believe in degrees, so even if you say like I'm from IIT or any other college, so that doesn't really matter. But what I normally check is just send me any of your project that you are most proud of, uh, and just the link of the project or a website link or something, so that will give me a better understanding like how you can think around a product, or how your logical skills are and how did you build that thing. So that gives a better understanding. So just you can share your work. That's the best thing.
Right. And there was one question about, could you give an overview on how you went about raising funds?
So it was kind of like it we just got connected over with investors over Twitter. So we tried raising funds for few months, but that didn't work out. But then we were also continuously developing, and then we launched another thing which gave us huge exposure, that was Protocol Bridge. And once we launched it, and in just a single month, without us reaching out any investors, we got an offer. And yeah, that was it. So it's just like focus more on the product. Once you'll have good enough attraction, investors will every investor would want to fund. So if one single investor says yes, everyone wants to invest
Right.
in you.
Right. So, yeah, Kumar Gaurav asks, in order to create a front end part of a dApp, what do I have to learn along with React.js?
So you don't along with React.js. So uh, uh, I would say like you just need a Web3 library, and you can use whatever you have knowledge of: JavaScript, jQuery, React.js, or whatever you have. That's just the whole Web2 thing. So you just need to learn Web3 library or ether.js, any one of the library, and you can just start building dApps on top of it. It's just one library. You have probably learned a lot of library in your life.
So, I think that's the time we have right now. We can follow up with the further questions on our Discord, right? I hope you'll be available sometime whenever you're available to answer them.
Yeah, so they can tag me, and whenever I'm available, I can
Sure,
just know the message.
sure.
I'm on the Discord, so they can just tag me on the Devfolio post,
Yeah. So
the group.
great having you over, Samyak, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we are going to run out of time now.
Yeah, and
Mm,
best of luck to all of you.
yeah. Thanks, Samyak, for coming over, right? Really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.